Okay, coffee. Just wait then.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Kapiolani Community College Ohio Auditorium. My name is Lawrence Lau, chef instructor of the Asia Pacific cuisines. And I would like to introduce to you, before that, please put all your cell phones on silent. Thank you very much. And then I would like to introduce to you Ms. Haley Matson Mathis. She is the director of the Hawaii Culinary Educational Foundation.
Aloha, everyone. I'm so happy to be back here in person with all of you because it's been a while since we've been able to gather together in one room, and want to welcome the folks that are able to Zoom in with us today. I am the executive director of the Hawaii Culinary Education Foundation, as Lawrence said, and we're a nonprofit foundation dedicated to all of you here in the classroom. Our whole mission is culinary education and providing educational opportunities and experiences outside of what you're learning in your culinary classrooms at all of the Hawaii community colleges, as well as working with the high schools on chef mentoring. So we do have some high school teachers are joining us today. So we're pleased that they're able to be with us on Zoom. The Culinary Foundation board members, one of them is Joan Namkoon, who was out front that you met when you came in and handed you your materials. She serves on our board. Chef Alan is also on our board, Alan Tsuchiyama. So we're glad to have their input. They help direct the programming and help us with fundraising. And one of the topics that's come up repeatedly for programming is that students have said on their evaluations, which I read each and every one of your evaluations, and we compile them and listen to you, said Filipino food was something that you were very interested in learning more about. And we had a wonderful opportunity today that came to us because Lynette Lotom, who's listed on the front of the bio, introduced us to our wonderful guest chef today, Melissa Miranda. So I want to say a thanks to Lynette. She dined at her restaurant when she was on the mainland and had an opportunity to meet. And so that was opportunity for us. And I also want to recognize La Dame d'Escoffier Hawaii, who is supporting the Hawaii Culinary Foundation and this program today, making it possible. As a nonprofit foundation, we appreciate the support of community members who believe in our mission to support all of you and the next generation of culinary education. And of course, I want to thank Chef Lawrence and Chef Allen and their classes who did a lot of work. We had a great day yesterday in the classroom with Chef Melissa. So thanks to all of you for your hard work, and I hope you learned in the process. And Lawrence, thank you for all the legwork you did to make the program possible. Chef Melissa Miranda is an amazing individual, and I feel very humbled that we've had the opportunity to meet her and have her join us here at KCC. Melissa is a chef owner of Mosang, a restaurant that opened in Seattle's Beacon Hill in January of 2020 and quickly was recognized in the Seattle community, which is as many of you know, a tremendous food community that has outstanding restaurants, but it was recognized as one of the best chef restaurants in the community, as well as what they have given back to the community. And Melissa will be sharing that with you. But to achieve that recognition so quickly speaks to her drive and determination, and the fact that she is very focused on the team that makes it happen. And we have one of those team members up front here, who I'm sure she'll introduce, Chef Amelia, who's joining us, her pastry chef. So we're pleased that she's joined us as well. Melissa attended culinary school and worked in kitchens in Florence, Italy, and she spent a number of years in Italy, and she'll give you some background on that. And that was after she had obtained her sociology degree in Washington. So she has an interesting trajectory as how she arrived in the culinary profession. And then after she left Italy, she came to New York City and worked for many years at some top restaurants in New York, and achieved some important milestones running kitchens in New York. But Seattle called her home, where her family was, and returning to her roots and returning to preparing the foods of her family. And I think that's what she's really shared yesterday with the students, was a passion for her family's recipes, the foods that she ate growing up. And her commitment to giving back to her community is simply incredible, especially during the difficult couple of years that we've all weathered everywhere in the world. But she continued to get back to her community through a community kitchen, which I'll let her tell you more about that. Also a children's cooking program that she does called the Little Wildcats. So it's not just about cooking great food, which she's going to illustrate, but it's about her commitment to those in her community and raising up other people in the kitchen, as well as those around her. And we're deeply honored to have you with us today. And I welcome you to Hawaii. And we hope this will just be one of the first times you join us, but not the last. So Melissa Miranda.
Thank you, Haley. I don't know if you can hear me. Maybe testing. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa. As you can see on this large PowerPoint presentation, I am a little nervous. Give me like 5 minutes and I'm going to work through my nerves, and then we'll get to know each other better. Like Haley said, family and food is really important to me. And I hope as you guys enter into the hospitality world, that you also include that in the way you approach your food. Amelia is here with her daughter, Maya. Amelia actually grew up here in Hawaii, so it's really nice to be here with her and be able to experience her childhood as I get to be here with her. So she's here to support me because I'm probably already sweating. But what I'm talking about today is reliving childhood memories through Filipino food. As many of you, I think, in this room are Filipino, we always have to face like the aunties and the uncles and the titas and the titos telling us that their food is always better, or that they don't want to spend money going out to a Filipino restaurant because they can cook it better at home. But we are here to tell you that I am here to tell you that there is opportunities and ways for us to be able to find our own voices so that we can share our food, and so that our food can also be elevated and supported, because our food is very delicious if you've had it. It's incredible. And through our experiences and our journeys, you guys are able to create your own narrative of what Filipino food can be. So who the heck is she? That's me. I am Seattle born, raised Filipino American. My parents both met in Seattle at a Halloween party, and they're huge influences on how I cook, why I cook, and why I share my food. My path hasn't been linear, as some of the class knows that I was with yesterday. I was a graduate of the University of Washington. Like most Asian families, there was a huge emphasis of college and maybe becoming a doctor or a lawyer, but I'm not that. So I'm also a community leader and organizer. I own the restaurant Musang Seattle, a Filipino restaurant, and I'm someone who truly loves her food and her people. That's me, I guess. So you have a visual since I'm not here in front of you. This is JP. He's one of my line cooks. He's incredible. Let's see. things that my mom would be proud of. I'd say graduating college, because that was huge. Filipino parents sacrifice a lot in making the choice to come to the States so that we can have better futures than the future, or than the things that they had. And later finishing culinary school in Florence. I was really lucky because my parents were actually really supportive. I graduated, I worked in the field, I was in the front of house for a really long time. I did management. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm moving to Florence. And she was like, what? I just spent so much money on your college, you're leaving me. But then she found and she realized that this was my passion and this is something that I feel like I'm really good at. And so she was very supportive and was excited because she could visit me in Italy as well. During the pandemic, I had the opportunity to become one of the Bon Appetit test kitchen chefs, which was a tough decision to make. I think if you guys had followed Bon Appetit, they went through a big rehaul. There was a calling out of Bon Appetit magazine and their practices and how they were paying women and their POC chefs. And so that decision came very hard for me because I truly feel that I need to be an advocate for my people of color and women of color as well. But I also saw that it was an opportunity to have a platform, to have Filipino food in an area and in a place that not many people have seen, and to be able to show it in its right way and showing it using the ingredients that we used growing up. Going into seeing Filipino food represented on platforms she never dreamed of seeing. I grew up watching Julia Childs with my mom, Emerald Lagasse, and we just never saw, a brown person on the TV. We didn't see even, and if there were, it was never in an authentic way or in a way for folks to really be able to share their stories or their journeys. My mom constantly tells me now that she's just so impressed because she never thought she would be able to see the success or the rise of Filipino food, because it's something that she was so shamed for, especially coming here. And then finally, I completed a TED Talk from memory. Yes, that was not fun. You might think TED Talks have like rolling screens for where you like speak to, but you have to memorize it. And it was really scary, just as scary as it is being up here with you guys. But yeah, those are some things my mom would be proud of. We were able to have a spread in Bon Appetit, which is incredible. We got to share some of our favorites, and then using a lot of Pacific Northwest ingredients in our recipes. These are some of the videos that I've done. Not really good like tooting my own horn, but we did what we're doing today actually is one of the Bon Appetit videos. And then we have ginataan alimasag, which is a crab coconut dish, which is super delicious. And then beyond Mel, what is there? Well, there's a restaurant called Musang, which has taken over my life. We opened in January of 2020, just before the pandemic hit. And so, yes, was it difficult? Absolutely. Did we make it work? Absolutely. I think one thing that people should know about us is that we're resilient. We don't give up. Our parents sacrificed so much and struggled for us to get here, that resilience has been passed down to us. So then we face opportunities that are very difficult. We can front them and, figure out how do we, I don't really like the word pivot, but like, how do we change and make change to like, make sure that the dreams and the hopes that we have worked so hard for aren't just given up. So for 3 months before the pandemic, we were jam-packed. We had a 3-hour line out the window or at the door of our restaurant. But then obviously we felt it wasn't safe for people to come in and gather because there was so much unknown. And so we started a community kitchen program. We closed the doors to our restaurant, and for 3 months, me and my sous chef cooked 200 meals a day for families and children and our community members that faced food insecurity and lacked food access. And it was an important part into who we are as Musang, because we're not just a restaurant space. I truly believe that we're a community space. And because we took care of our people, we can see that they're coming to take care of us. Staying connected to local organizations and doing our best to support them through fundraisers and partnerships. I think if we go back further, Musang started as a pop-up. I was a pop-up for 5 years. I started off doing monthly brunches, and we did rotating silogs. We did different types of Filipino food just to be able to introduce our community. I mean, you guys are lucky because you have a very diverse and beautiful connection to the food, but on the mainland, there's not a whole lot of Filipino foods, especially in Seattle. And so we really wanted to just educate people what our food was, what it tastes like. And we were able to build this really incredible following. And we did a lot of fundraising. We partner with Youth Care, which helps folks that are on the street to be able to give them housing and food. We work with this organization called Feast, which works with high school students and advocating for food and food deserts and educating like food security. I love to eat. I also box. That's like a passion of mine. Always make sure that you have something that you can lean on outside of the kitchen. I can't stress that enough. This job is stressful. It's very stressful. And if you don't have an outlet, or if you don't have hobbies, or find that, please find a balance. That balance is important, because if not, you will burn out. And we've seen a lot of like chefs burn out. And so like, yeah, you know, I am so passionate about my food, but that work balance is something that I strive for my team. And I really want to ensure that they have that too. I love to karaoke. My go-to song is Weak by SWV. That might be too old for some of you guys. And finally, I actually really don't like to be called chef. And I can explain a little bit why. I think it's important to have respect for the brigade. I think it's important to respect the people that came before us, but the word chef can be very loaded. And I think that there's a lot of healing, and I think that there's a lot of understanding that can come with that word in itself. At my restaurant, I am the same and one with my team. I am there to get my hands dirty, to wash dishes, to do all the things, but there's a hierarchy involved sometimes. And in this industry, if we want to really look at this, like the future and how we can take care of this and how this won't die, you know what I mean? And we have to find ways to be able to take care of our staff better. I came up in Italy. I was the only woman of color in Italian kitchens. And what I endured and what I faced, something needs to change. There's better ways to teach people. There's better way to educate people. Pan throwing, yelling, all that stuff I endured. And I don't think that is the way of the future, I hope. And I, you know, all the respect to everyone here, but I think that we can and start a new way. And that's really what I hope to do, and with Musang and whatever future projects that I have. About Musang. This is, it's a community-driven restaurant in Seattle, focusing on the education of Filipino cuisine. And then why Filipino, you ask? Well, representation matters. And because our food deserves to be seen. And I truly believe that. This is our restaurant. It's in a beautiful old craftsman home that we've remodeled, a beautiful outside space, very welcoming and warm. It's inspired by the heritage homes in Ilocos Sur, really warm, really friendly. Like we want you to feel like you're coming into Lola's house, which is great because it's an actual home. It's built for us and by us, where we can share our stories, art, and culture. This is our patio and our food. It's inspired by our childhood memories of Filipino food. Most of my kitchen staff, 95% of them, are actually young Filipino Americans that are very excited to be able to finally have the opportunity to work with their food. So many of us have had to work in other kitchens, cooking different cuisines except our own. And so there's a lot of passion and a lot of excitement for them to be able to look at a menu and say, I grew up with that. I'm actually sharing that with people here. And that's huge. I spent many years cooking Italian cuisine, and I never thought in my lifetime that I'd be able to cook in a Filipino restaurant, let alone see the names written in Tagalog. You know, like we start first with the Tagalog names of the dishes so that we can teach people what those dishes are. You know, why is it so familiar to know Thai dishes, Vietnamese dishes, Japanese dishes, but not our food? And so this is a way for us to start introducing the words and the dishes to the people in our communities. We have many influences, including the Pacific Northwest, Japan, Hawaii, Italy, and we change our menus every quarter. And so it's a very seasonal menu, and we like to use ingredients from the Pacific Northwest as well, is integrating it into our food. Some dishes of our food, this is stuff that's on our menu now. Adobong pula, if you guys know, there's a lot of different types of adobo. This is a red adobo. It's red because of the annatto oil, and we're using Brussels sprouts because it's in season, pickled red onions, cane vinegar. There's a dish called gising gising, which means wake up, wake up. And we're using green beans with a kabocha squash puree. And our process when it comes to food, we're not your Lola's cooking, but it's authentic to us. Our memories and relationships to food guide us more than traditional recipes. When we come up with recipes, it's not just me coming up with the recipes. Our entire team sits down and they talk about their favorite dishes. They talk about what they grew up with. They talk about how they want to share and interpret it. And I think it's a great way to exercise, especially young chefs, and give them the opportunity to learn how to create recipes, to how to share the recipes, how to bulk up recipes. And it's really beautiful to see. I think so many of us, myself, you know, so much of our career is like, yes, chef, follow the rules, follow everything, but you're never given the opportunity to like create your own palette. You know what I mean? It's like your chef's palette or everyone else's palette. And when it comes down to tasting your food, you don't even know what your food tastes like anymore. So it's really beautiful for that in my team. We build collaboratively. More food. That's our beef machado and our version of dinuguan, which is a lot different than probably what your Lola's dinuguan looks like. Our team, oh no, there's a video. Maybe, hold on. Okay, this is just a little video so I can give myself a break from talking. I know that it's a lot, but this is just a little, oh no, hold on. Should I do it? Can I?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, okay, it's not up there. Good. Hopefully, it's a little video of my team, just so you can see the faces behind the restaurant. One thing that's important for me is that my community knows who's actually cooking the food. Like, it's not just me that's the face of the restaurant, but it's everyone that's part of it that has helped build it. And so we get to see some of them. They're really great. I don't know how to put this up. Hold on. How do I? Sorry. So this is it, but it's not showing on the screen. Should I just do that? Oh, nope. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh, no. Hold on. Oh, here it is.
I like cooking Filipino food because it just reminds.
It's not showing up here. It was, but then it didn't show up. I had to download it. Maybe cast to device. No, here, this one. Oh, sorry, guys. I don't know. Oh no. You here? Oh no. No. Okay, anyways, we don't have to do that. Okay. Oh, that's okay. Anyways, it's just my team saying hello from Seattle to you guys. Anyways, here's some more food. That's our sinigang and our version of kare kare. We change our sinigang every season, and we use different agents to sour it. In the fall, we use sour apples and green apples instead of tamarind or citric, anything citric. This one's classic using tamarind as well. And then finally, to close this out, was another video, which is me being really awkward, telling my TED talk. I don't know, it probably won't play, which is probably fortunate for you guys. Oh no. Excellent. Anyways, this is why I don't do PowerPoint. If you guys want, the TED Talk is about resiliency in the community and how we can make some changes in our industry. It's like 12 minutes. It's really important, I think, to hear some of the things that we say, especially as you guys go after here, and how you can advocate for yourselves to be able to take care of yourselves and making sure that the people that hire you are taking care of you too, because it's not enough anymore to just work 18 hours, especially if there's no future for you. You should be able to find the places that will take care of you and support you in the journeys that you are coming into, because I'm sure all of you guys have really beautiful voices and stories to share. So with that, let's get cooking. Thank you for listening to me. Well,
I just want to mention that you can catch her TED Talk by just going online and Googling her name and TED Talk. So Melissa Miranda TED Talk, and it's well worth your time. It's very inspirational, and just, make a note of it and be sure to watch it, because it's really a great use of your time to listen to the message she has in it.
all right.
Right.
Are we ready?
Tell me.
Yes, we're here. Thank you for enduring that. I know a lot of people from yesterday heard the same story, but I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite dishes. Yeah, it's called adobong pusit pancit. Adobong pusit is a traditional Filipino dish. It's calamari squid cooked with tomatoes, onion, garlic, served with rice. It's got soy sauce, it's got vinegar. But when we decided to put this dish on our menu, it's kind of an homage to my time in Italy and also to my dad's hometown. This is a dish that you can find in his hometown of Cavite. It's delicious. During the winter is the only time we serve this dish, because my dad catches all the squid during the fall season, and we fill up our freezers so we have squid freshly caught by Musang. Sadly, today I don't have that for you. But we're gonna, it's squid and I'm excited. It's super easy, something that you guys can make at home. And I'm just gonna go through knife work, and then we're gonna clean everything and then get cooking. The Holy Trinity for Filipino cuisine is gonna be your onion, garlic, and tomatoes. This is the base of a lot of our food, and it's called guisado. I said yesterday, guisado and like scrambled eggs plus rice is one of my favorite things to eat. So you can make like a quart of this, keep it in your fridge, and just like throw it on anything that you want. If you have a thing of corned beef hash, like throw that in there with the hash, and it's pretty delicious. So yeah, I'm just gonna start by cutting this half onion. We're gonna cut it into a julienne. I'm gonna take off the skin. It's very nerve-wracking, like sitting in front of all these people, and there's like a camera here, and I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna chop my fingers? All right. I'm just going to add that to my pile. All right. Any questions? Can we do that? Yeah. Do you guys have any questions about the food? Oh, there's lots. I mean, there's 3. That's better than, 0. Go ahead. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a really great question. So the question was, since I don't like being called chef, what does that culture look like in my kitchen? When we get hired, it's really an interesting process because a lot of folks are coming from kitchens where that's the norm, or they've got a lot of trauma coming into the space. And I'm just smashing the garlic. Sorry for the loud noises. Hold on, let me just do this real quick. Sorry, chef. The environment is, it's incredibly supportive. From the dishwasher to the prep cook, to the line cooks, to the sous chefs. Titles for us are important, yes, because there is the knowledge that comes with it. You know who your sous chef is or your chef is because of the experience they have and what they can teach you. However, it doesn't mean that they're more entitled to you, or it's not a way for them to like treat you less than because you don't have the same amount of experience for them. It's an opportunity for them to take everything that they've known and bring you up to the place that they've come from. And so it's really beautiful to see. I've got a really diverse amount of staff. I've got people that have worked corporate. I've got people that have worked years in this industry. I've got a lot of green people. This weekend, I was here actually with my chef. It was the first weekend that both her and I were able to leave the restaurant and not actually close the restaurant, because we had our entire team up to speed and they had the ability and the resources and the tools to make sure that the restaurant could run without us. That's an incredible dream to have. I think as a restaurant owner, like I am still there, 6 days a week, but my team now has that opportunity and the responsibility and accountability to be able to do and learn the work that they need to do. It's very collaborative. But at the end of the night, we all clean together. At the end of the night, we break down together. We wipe down the walls together. Our dishwashers are incredible. They feel like they're part of the family too. And we've been able to also, in treating people this way as well, we're able to retain our staff. The majority of my staff since the pandemic is still the same. My whole back of house is still the same. And I've been able to hire more people because of how we treat people. And when people come into our space, they feel kind of that respect and that knowledge that they're like, wow, I matter here. I'm going to learn here. I'm going to maybe fumble, because we're not perfect. But when you do make mistakes, you won't be making fun of or belittled. We're going to learn through that mistake together. And so that's kind of the atmosphere that we have, which is really beautiful. So thanks for that question. Yes, in the back. Hello. Hi, Joe. Annatto. Annatto, yeah. Annatto is also known as achuete. You can soak it in oil, you can have it in water, but it gives out a really bright, vibrant red color.
Why also cheddar is orange. The color.
Oh, thank you, chef. All right, so, I mean, this pretty much is all the knife work for now. It's so easy. I've got my onions, tomatoes, garlic spilling out of here. You see other things in here as well, but that's for the dinuguan, which we made ahead of time because, movie magic. I wish I could make dinner go on in an hour, but I can't. So yes, in the back. Guisado, spelled Guisado. A lot of that has to come from the Spanish influence and the colonization of the Philippines. There's a lot of influence in that, and you'll see that with the food. But yeah, in Cavite, like my dad's heritage is more Spanish than it is Filipino. Cool. So we're gonna clean squid. I'm gonna clean one, and then we can do it together. For those of you who have never cleaned squid, I don't know if there's some people in here that haven't. This is what the squid looks like. You can, so this part disattaches, and you can use your finger to help disattach it, and it will pull out the body. Then if you feel in the squid, you're like, what is this plastic thing? It's the backbone, and it looks like plastic and it feels like plastic. You pull that out because you don't want to eat that or bite it because it's going to hurt. And then since we did a really good job, it all came out in one piece. Here, I mean, and then there's the skin on top. There's two different things. Like my dad actually really liked leaving this. There's two layers of skin on a squid. There's this clear film. I don't know if you can see, right? That's the first layer. And then there's this skin layer. That's the polka dotty part, right? You don't have to take that off if you don't want to. I know that the team did yesterday, and I'm so grateful. But really what's important is just this like outer layer that's very slimy. Yeah, okay, I'm almost there. And then that's how you clean a squid for the body, right? Okay. For the head, if you open up the tentacles, there's this little tiny white ball, and this is the teeth of the squid. It's very sharp. Yeah, so pull that out. And then you have the head, and you just cut above the eyes, and then here you are. That's how you clean your squid. Very simple, except when you have to clean like 100 of them. But you know, thanks guys. I'm gonna cut them into rings. I'm gonna save the head separately because we're gonna use that for the dish to fry. And then pretty much that's like almost all the stuff we need, right? Oh yes, okay, I'm gonna quickly watch this. All right. Some of you may be wondering what this is. It's called tinapa. It's a smoked mackerel. We use this a lot in Philippine cuisine. You can bake it, you can fry it, you can stuff it with garlic, tomato, and onions. You can serve it with fish sauce, cilantro, and serve it with rice. You can also flake it, which we'll do right now. This one doesn't have any bones, but you can literally just flake it out. And then you can put this in your fried rice, and it is amazing too. This is a typical breakfast item that we use in the Philippines. Amelia, actually her parents, they make their own smoked mackerel tinapa for us for the restaurant. So we use this for our pusit. So yeah, you just pull the skin off and then flake everything out. And that adds another layer to this dish. For me, it's important to have different textures, different flavors. There's smokiness from the tinapa, there's sweetness from the tomato, there's umami from the soy sauce, there's acidity from the vinegar. When I cook, I like to make sure that everything has a reason and a place. Okay. I think that's it. Gosh, I'm gonna be here for like 5 minutes. You also watch this on the internet if you're not following. Yes, go ahead. We do together. actually. Yeah, we take about 2 weeks leading into our menu tastings, and people present their dishes, or throughout the whole quarter, the chefs and the sous chefs or the line cooks can put on a special. And so then they have 1 week to perfect what they do. They get to order everything. They get to practice quantities. I tell them this is how much we want every day for a week. And if it's a success and people like it, it has the potential to become part of the new menu. 2 weeks before we decide on the menu, we come together and we try everything. We try our sauces, we try our bases, we see how like it will work during service if it's possible. Our menu is about 15 items every quarter. And then we sit together and we're like, we like this. No, we don't like this. Maybe we can save this for the spring. Or maybe if we add something else, different protein, or maybe a little bit of vinegar, like, or whatever. So it's really cool to see that develop. And the cooks are so proud, you know, when they see their things printed on the menu. Like if you see our menu online, it doesn't just say my name, it's everyone. And that's like really beautiful to see and for them to develop as like young cooks and aspiring people in this industry. Yes. Musang. Yeah. Musang, when my dad came to Seattle in the 70s, he used to drive a black Mustang. And then the T fell off. And so his friends started calling him Musang. Musang in Tagalog means cat, civet cat. My dad, if you look on our website too, there's a photo of him from the Merchant Marines and he has a big afro. And so all of his friends called him Musang because he's like a wild cat. So my dad taught me how to cook Filipino food. Growing up, I would hear his friends call him Musang. And so then when I was thinking of a name for a restaurant, I was like, this makes total sense. So I had no choice. And then he was like, why is my face everywhere? Because I took the ID and like we plastered everywhere. And yeah, and he was like, I thought you were joking. Like, what is this? But now, you know, he wears his own face with pride. So, oh yes, oh my gosh, if I should have included that. Our whole team has like the cat logo tattoo for Musang. Amelia's wearing the jersey on it, but my dad is 69, 70 now. He got his first tattoo at 68, and it was the cat. And then he went back home to the Philippines, and then he actually got his own face from the ID tattooed on his body. So it's just a small, like, you know, a little window into the man that is Musang, but he's really incredible and I think very proud of what it is that we're doing. So, all right, shall we get cooking? Okay. What you're seeing back here is the dinuguan base, is what we were working on since yesterday. We're gonna do the noodles. I think I'm gonna have Chef Lawrence do calamari and garlic over here.
Absolutely.
Cool. Those are gonna be the garnishes for our dish. So we can work in tandem and then we can make this happen. We're gonna use the rondo because it's better for everyone to see. Hopefully. There it is. Yes, I will. Any other questions? How are we doing out here? Are people awake? It's okay if you're sleeping. Oh, hold on. Yes. Ooh, that's a good question. I really like that. Obviously, as a lot of you guys know now, especially with the pandemic, a lot of the food supply chains have made it very difficult for us to get product, receive product. We try our best to work with local farms. I think when the pandemic happened and we converted into a community kitchen, it were those local farmers that actually helped us, and they supplied us with the veggies that we needed to make the meals. And so we've been able to continue that relationship with them. And we try our best to work with local purveyors, sourcing meat, vegetables, fish, yeah, it's hard. And I think that's also why our menu changes so often, because there's things that are available and there's things that are not. And if we can help use a product that needs to be used, we'll use it. So it's, it's our way of slowly navigating our way through this. We do a lot more vegetable dishes on our menu, which is very, I think, surprising for Filipinos that their food can be healthy. Just very dishes that can be, vegetarian, like we do a vegetarian kare kare. We make only in house. But there's ways for us that we try to kind of move forward and bring forth that idea. So hope that answers your question. Okay. Yes, over here.
How was it moving from, I guess, Seattle to Italy? And was there like a language barrier?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Okay, I'm gonna cook. Can we do that too? I hope, I won't burn anything, I hope.
I'll try and keep up with each other.
Okay, just gonna put oil here. The pan is nice and hot. And then chef here is gonna fry the garlic chips for our garnish and also our calamari for our dish. I'm gonna start with the garlic. All right, Italy. My God. I actually took Italian in college, but that really doesn't mean anything. It was more of an excuse to like go out to Italy and like eat pizza. And so it is hard. There is a language barrier. But I also knew like that experience, like going alone and not knowing anyone, it's probably like one of the biggest things that like teaches you what you're capable of. Luckily, I had the opportunity to I became a nanny while I was going to culinary school. And so I learned how to speak Italian by watching the kiddos because they did not know how to speak English. And so it was definitely like, oh my God, how do I do this? I'd spend time with my instructors, my chefs, my professors, and really try and gain more understanding of what it was they were trying to teach me. I think it's important when you go into other countries that you respect their language and their culture, and you don't try and come in and be like, I only speak American, or I'm this person and I know everything. It's like, oh my gosh, no, what do you have to teach me? And I think every culture has so much to teach you. My idea of what Italian food was like, oh, pizza, pasta, chicken Alfredo. And then you're like, what? Like, that's not Italian food. Living in Florence was really beautiful because it was like, I got to learn, how do I say it in English? La cucina povera, which means like poor people's food. And like, how to be resourceful, that like Florentine cuisine is about legumes and fresh vegetables and using bread in soups and like being like, what? I didn't know that this is what it was. So it just like blew my mind away. I made a lot of friends. I worked in really tough kitchens, and I also worked with like grandmas in the kitchen. And so that experience was something truly special. And if you have the opportunity to like stage or go somewhere, I think that's an important part of your journey in cooking too. Garlic and onions, as you see, I turn down the heat. If you haven't heard of Johnny's Seasoning Salt, I'm not sponsored by them, but I love them. It's like Lori's, but it's local to the Pacific Northwest. It's made in Tacoma. It's just a mix of like garlic salt, paprika, salt, black pepper. This one doesn't have MSG, but the good one does. So we use this for everything at the restaurant. I'm going to go ahead and season my onions and my garlic. So I'm just going to build flavor. And I'm going to add my tomatoes. Yes, question again. Yeah. No. So I think I was like 22, maybe. I'm old now, but I was 22 and I was like, I just need to move away. And when I say the path isn't linear, it's not linear. Like I went to Italy and I did a teaching English program for a month. And then I realized how hard it is to get a visa to live in Italy. And so I was like, oh no, what do I do? It was kind of like a gap year for me, I guess you'd say. I had the opportunity to either get my master's in social work or pursue this foreign career that I had no idea I would love. Having experienced front of house, like I worked in front of house for like 8 years. But I knew that cooking was something that I always loved and I always was passionate about. It was something that I loved to share. And so I found this incredible program in Italy, in Florence. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm really scared when I'm going to do it. And it was so beautiful because it connected me with like folks from Turkey, from different places in the world. And we got to experience and learn together. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up there. And then I was there for 2 years cooking in the school. And then I worked for another 3 years in Italy. All right. Yeah. Yes.
Very similar cooking. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question was similarities of Filipino, Mexican, Latin food with Italian food. One of my favorite dishes in Filipino food is chicken afritada or beef machado, which is like a chicken or tomato based stew. When I went to Italy, I had chicken cacciatore, which is like almost the same thing. It's so amazing to see how the flavor profiles are so similar. Italians really love to use tomato, garlic, onions, the same with Philippine and Latin cuisine. They use, I think the souring agents are a little bit different. Their vinegars are different than ours, but we still have vinegars. Instead of using fish sauce, they use anchovies. They have a thing called colatura, which is pretty much the same as like fish sauce or patis. There's a lot of fried food that are similar. I think regionally it's very similar. They've got like the South where they've got a lot of spices coming in. Not really tropical, but like the Mediterranean feel, I guess, as translated, especially with Filipinos. I think the colonization from Spain and them bringing a lot of their influences in to Mexico, to the Philippines lens. Adobo is very different for, the Latin Mexican cuisine, and then adobo for Filipino cuisine is also very different, but there's still some similarities there. What else? You've had kare. It's like an oxtail stew. When we were there, we would use like cashews or almonds, and we'd use artichoke hearts. Like there's different ways that you can pull. Like when we'd make our adobo in Italy, we'd actually use red grapes and red wine with chicken, and then add a little bit of vinegar at the end. So I think there's different ways you can be creative and play with where you are and what you can make. And I hope that answers the question. Yeah, okay. Cool. Chef's done the garlic and the calamari. This is what guisado should look like. It's just tomato, onion, garlic cooked all the way down. I'm gonna put my squid in. And then I have an adobo sauce that I made, or the students made. It's just soy sauce, cane vinegar, which is sweeter than white vinegar and distilled vinegar. We like to use this. It's made in the Philippines. We've reduced it down. There's bay leaf, peppercorn, and onions in here, and garlic. So that gets put in here. We reduce the adobo sauce and cook the vinegar down to help with that acidity, because you don't want that vinegar to like punch you in the face. You want it to mellow out. You want it to sweeten. I'm going to add some fish sauce to here. Fish stock, and then the magic ingredient, which is cuttlefish ink, which adds a nice depth of flavor. If you've had like squid ink pasta, This is what you put into the pasta mix in the dough to make it black. So I'm just going to use a teaspoon of that. And that's what it's going to give that like nice dark color. I'm going to throw in the noodles. These are rice stick bihon noodles. Bihon is the style of noodle, and you can find it in the Philippines. They're really thin noodles. At the restaurant, we use cornstarch bihon noodles. Those tend to actually pull the flavor better. They don't break down as quickly as the rice noodles, and they turn nice and black. So it's like a very visually beautiful thing. These ones are going to kind of break down a little more. All right. Any other questions? Yes, hello. Yeah, of course. Question was community kitchen program. How do we operate and how do we continue? In the beginning, when all the restaurants shut down, there was so much waste. A lot of restaurants had so much product that they needed to move, a lot of vegetables, a lot of things. So everyone brought everything to us, and our walk-in and our downstairs was like a huge mess. But so in the beginning, for like a good solid 2 months, we were able to just create meals. The beauty of our community kitchen program is we also try to be like culturally aware of the food that we're making for the people that we're serving. So we work a lot with the Latin community. We work a lot with the POC community. So our meals are like kind of created to make sure that they have stuff that they're familiar with and they get to eat that food too. Now we're in operation Mondays and Tuesdays for our community kitchen program, which is the days that we're closed. And then folks can call in, no questions asked, and get a meal for them and their families. We also partner with 2 different nonprofit organizations now. I do a lot of grant writing so that can support our program as well, because we have seen that it, I mean, obviously it has existed for a really long time. It's just never been seen or addressed on this kind of like platform when the pandemic hit. And so, yeah, I mean, my team rotates shifts in the community kitchen program, and we're hoping to get another space that can just become that program. And then we can feed more people, we can get volunteers in, we can have folks join. But yeah, I mean, a lot of city help has been the reason why we've been able to do it for so long, and a lot of just community support too. Oh yeah, currently we're doing about 600 plus meals a week on top of running a full restaurant service, which is like 6 days of service. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. And you become very good at organizing your walk-in. That's it. I mean, this is it. That's, you know, that's kind of it anyway. So all the things came in. I'm going to taste it, season it a little bit with this. The flavor profile that I'm looking for is like savory, coming from the soy sauce, a little umami. The acidity is coming from my cane vinegar. That fishy, deep flavor is coming from the cuttlefish ink. And that's that. I'm going to try it. Oh my God. Please.
So I'm the reverse. I call everybody chef.
Yeah, which I know. And you know, like I came from, you know, that background too. And I also think that if you're calling everyone chef, that's also very respectful, because then everyone is equal. How does it taste?
Delicious.
Excellent. Yes.
So for me, it breaks the title down. It's not as my class knows I have trouble with words. It's not as big of a wall. How's that? when you call everyone chef, it's not kind of break the title down a little. When I
But that also makes it easier because
it does.
then you don't have to memorize them. I'm just kidding.
Now you let them.
I let them know your secret.
So don't worry, my class knows when I'm talking to a chef, I'm speaking to them directly. Eye contact, body language, the whole bit. Thank you.
So if we were using cornstarch noodles, it wouldn't be so crumbly, but you get the idea of what we're trying to do here. Yeah, I'm just gonna plate it up. Yeah, I don't know what else. Oh yeah, more questions? Yes, hello. Yeah. Good question. Always people are like, once you have one restaurant, that's done. But I do want to open up more places. But I don't want to open up more musangs. I want to open up more, I don't know, more places that can keep educating Filipino food. The community kitchen is definitely our next step. But then I want to open up like a panciteria, which just focuses on pancit. And then bulalohan, which just is about the beef soup. I think being able to specialize on certain things is really incredible because you can really focus on that and it'd be like, oh, for this season we have it this way or this way. Something healthier. I mean, I hate to be like plant-based, but I've thought about maybe like opening up a smaller space in New York and doing like a plant-based tasting menu. Because I think it'd be really cool to see our food approached in that way. Like, how can you manipulate different flavors, ingredients, and then make it feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I don't need, the proteins or the meats, and educate people that way. If you guys haven't heard, please look up Archipelago in Seattle. Archipelago is an 8-seat tasting menu. It's Filipino, Pacific Northwest. They source everything within the Pacific Northwest, mostly in Washington. But Aaron Verzosa and his wife Amber are incredible. And if you want to think about like fusion Filipino or different ways you can see our food presented, that's a perfect example of that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll open up more. Who knows?
I'm sure as you go along, your staff will create more responsibility.
Yeah,
They may open it.
I hope so. That's the goal. I mean, the goal is like, as we invest into our people, that when they have their own concept, it can be like, cool, where do you want to go? How can we support you? You would have hopefully saved, because we really encourage like a lot of saving and future planning. We invest in everyone's 401ks. We pay 100% of health insurance for all of our team, and because we want them to be able to have a life outside of the work. So by then we're like, okay, if you've been here for 5 years, how much have you saved? Can we match you in terms of like ownership of? And then hopefully they can open up some really cool concepts based on what it is and everything that they've learned by being at Musang. Yes. Sorry, say that again.
What is your favorite way that either
Onto the menu? No. My sous chef is like the best karaoke ever. I want her. Yeah, if you follow our Instagram, you'll see she's been caught singing on it. I think the Pacific Northwest, just the access to seafood, the access to really beautiful local ingredients. For my team, it's incredible because so many people come from different parts. I've got 3 people that grew up in the Philippines, actually moved and actually have those experiences from the Philippines that they can share and bring to the restaurant. I have Filipino American born chefs and cooks that have their experiences. But one worked at in a Korean restaurant, one lived in Japan, one lived here. And so all those different things that they've learned and accumulated, they get to bring to the table as well. Different techniques, different ingredients, different spices, and being able to meld those together and find this like very cohesive like team and team palette, I think is where that's been the biggest influence for us. Yeah, for those of you, palette is your flavor, everything, your taste, your smell. That's really something that's important to practice, to build. How do you do that? It's by going out and adventuring and eating foods outside of your comfort zone. It's eating foods from fine dining to the mom and pop corner stores. It's learning what you love and what makes you happy. It can also help you understand when things are too salty, when they're under seasoned, if they need more acid, if they need all those things. That's something that I wish could be taught. I think it can be like encouraged, right? I could direct you in the right way. But the more you taste your food, the more you taste food in general, is like how much stronger that's going to become, which is exciting. I think for my team, I know my whole team's palate. I know who is heavy-handed with the salt. I know who's under seasoning. I know how to do that. So when I know and I step into the space with them, we can work together to be able to create a consistency when we're serving our food. I love when my dad texts me that he's at the restaurant and I'm not there and the food is excellent. That's my dream because my dad's my hardest critic. And which means that as a team, we're working together to create a team palette, to create a consistency across the board. And in that, they're also understanding and developing their tastes, what things should taste like as they go along. Yes, hold on. I'm just gonna plate this real quick so then we can all talk together. Does that work? Yeah? Okay, it's not very pretty. I'd like it to be much more pretty, but it's delicious, I promise you. Noodle, everything's in here. We're gonna put the calamari on top just to add some crunch to this. So there's texture. My dad, every time he comes to the restaurant and orders this, he always yells at us if there's not enough like fried calamari on it. So he's like, people, you know, they just don't skimp on that. So there's a lot here for you. Yeah, I know. Dude, he goes out like 2 in. All right, so then I've got the smoked tinapa on top as well, which adds a nice smoky kind of savory taste. Fried garlic chips. At the restaurant, we use garlic bits. Easier for us, but it adds also a nice crunch, nice kind of bitterness and punch of flavor. Scallion curls. Add some freshness to it. These were beautifully cut by the students yesterday, so thank you. And then I like to use cilantro, just not really an herb that you use often in Philippine cuisine, but it adds a nice kind of spice and freshness as well. So you have all the things right here. It's like a little garden of, I don't know. All right. So that is our adobong pusit pancit. I'm gonna just put a little more over here. So, yeah, just to make my dad proud. All right. Okay, so that dish is finished. Yeah, are we gonna do the dinuguan sauce? Yeah, I hope so too. Okay, I'll answer your question.
I was gonna ask, have you traveled back to the Philippines to get more inspiration on this?
Yes, that's a great question. I have. I actually spent 3.5 months in the Philippines in 2018, I think before the pandemic. Before I would go back every year. Yeah, it's incredible to go back home and see how different things are back home and how they are perceived in the States. One thing that I hope and people are beginning to champion more in the Philippines is our Philippine food. I think so much of what's happened is there's been this focus on Western food, Western culture. Like Filipinos are obsessed with like, you know, the newest Japanese chef or Spanish chef coming in, but there's no one actually like, wait, our food is incredible. But Toyo in the Philippines, TOYO, was named one of Asia's best restaurants. Jordi Navarro is definitely championing Filipino cuisine out there. It's such a regional country. Like what you get from the Ilocos area all the way down to like Davao and Mindanao, it's completely two different types of cuisine. So it's really interesting and beautiful to go back there and travel around. Amelia is Ilocano, and so the way that they cook food is entirely different than the Tagalog from the main island in Luzon. So yeah, I mean, I love going back home because I like to see what's different, what ingredients they use that I never saw growing up. That's good. The question was, are the Ilocanos getting along with the Tagalog or vice versa? Usually they say Ilocano's better or Tagalog is better. I think in our restaurant, we use that as an advantage because it's an education point where like, Kyle made something. Kyle, one of my line cooks, is definitely like more Ilocano influenced, and he made a dish and I was like, I've never had this before, but it blew my mind because it was so incredible. Pinakbet is a very good example. Pinakbet Tagalog is made with the pink fermented shrimp bagoong. It's got squash, it's more savory. The Pinakbet Ilocano, they use the fermented fish sauce, which is very funky, very salty. They like to use slimy ingredients like okra and saluyot. And that was very hard for me growing up because I was like, oh my God, I want like my Lola's, not my grandpa's. But for us, it's such an educational part, and like the more we can learn together, the more our like knowledge expands and the palate expands. So yeah, I don't think that we have a lot of that. Mine is better. Yeah. 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 I think there's something beautiful about the Pacific Northwest in that it is a pretty big melting pot when it comes to the Asian cultures. We all had the fortune of like growing up closely with Vietnamese culture, Japanese culture, Chinese, Japanese, but we all kind of had to group together to like become stronger versus like, having our different groups. Like my group set back home, it's awesome because I can collaborate. And like the Filipinos are also very like welcoming. Yes. Yeah, a lot of them actually. Yeah, we'll start with an idea. This one obviously is inspired by him because he cooked the squid. There's this dish called totsong. It's made with fermented black beans, fermented tofu, ginger, onion, garlic. And I hadn't had it. It's served with bangos, which is a type of fish. He used to cook it a lot when I was a child. And then I had this distinct memory of that dish, but I never knew it. I never saw it again. And then he like posted a picture on Facebook and he was like, I made this for my wife. Like, look at it. It's so good. And I was like, what? You haven't cooked that since I was a child. And we had it and it was so beautiful. And it's not like a typical Filipino dish that you hear of. And so, we took his sauce that he made, applied it to a different protein. But stuff like that, we like to cook things that he recognized. Same with my mom. There's a lot of dishes influenced by both of them. Okay, here we are. Oh, do we want them to try that? Or how does that, is it after? After, okay. Oh yeah, thank you. All right. We're almost there, guys. I know this is a long one.
For me.
I hope I hope you guys are okay. Okay, so I wanted to do Dinaguan for you all. And it was like a last minute add-on to this experience. Don't follow my recipe that's on the paper because it's not correct. So it's, but you know, this is like the adapted version of when you come to another place and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot this and that. Dinaguan for me, there's so many memories attached to it. If you haven't had dinaguan, it is traditionally like a pork offal stew with all the different things inside of it, but you don't even really know what's inside of it because it's like chocolate meat and like dark and scary. So I remember eating it as a child and like loving it. And then of course my dad told me what it was. And then I was like, oh my God, like eating pork blood. But it's amazing. And like what we do, especially at Musang, is we want people to either change their thoughts of what they ate growing up or introduce them to these flavor profiles that are incredible, that have hidden from them, because this is where we come from, you know? And so I wanted a version, our first version of this at the restaurant was actually pork cheeks that we would grill. We'd braise over, not overnight, braise with tamarind, and then we would grill the cheeks, and then we'd do this really beautiful sauce. We'd slice some shishitos for some crunch and maybe a little bit of spice. So today we were gonna do that. I mean, it's kind of the same, but I'm gonna show you how to make the sauce, right? Pork blood can seem very intimidating. Don't be intimidated by it. There's a trick to make sure that your blood doesn't like separate. But yeah, this is the braising liquid from our cheeks and our shoulder. Inside we have Johnny's brown sugar, nor liquid seasoning, which if you haven't used before, it's like Maggi. It's a little more liquidy than Maggi. I can't recreate this. I wish I could come up with a recipe to make this, but I can't. So this is an amazing substitution. It brings a lot of like savory umami flavors to it. We use tamarind packs and tamarind in here. We don't use vinegar, which I know a lot of people have made dinaguan with vinegar, but traditionally it's actually made with tamarind. So this is all in here. It's been strained. Before there was ginger, garlic, onions, and some chilies to add more flavor to this. But yeah, to thicken the sauce, it's so easy. Right now, very liquidy. I forgot to add water in the recipe, so it came out really thick. And then I was like very embarrassed when I walked in, and I was like, oh no, because we make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. So, so no, perfect. We try our best and we make adjustments because that's what we do, right? We keep tasting our food to make sure that at least at the end product, we can get to something that is still beautiful and delicious. But yeah, so I'm going to actually add the pork blood. You want to use fresh pork blood. It kind of looks scary, but I promise it's not. So this is what it looks like. The trick actually, it's so simple. To not make the blood separate is actually adding vinegar to the blood first. Obviously, you don't want to add too much. You want to keep tasting, so it's not like, ah! That's a good question.
You ask the butcher.
I hope that. I'm just kidding. You want to have a trusted source, especially when it comes to stuff like this. Yeah, that's very important. We have someone that we just source blood from, and we know that it's fresh. So, and there's been times when we're like, oh, we can't serve this dish, so we'll take it off the menu because we can't get it. Right now, currently, we're doing it with a pork chop. So we brine our pork chop with the bone in. And then that's pan seared. It's got like a really beautiful texture and flavor. And this is actually made from a pork stock that we use in another recipe. And then we kind of blend everything together. But it's just like very delicate and yet still very true to that dinagoan you're used to. But so yes, vinegar is in here. We've got a low heat on our sauce. I don't want it boiling. I want it to kind of just like simmer. So that also doesn't shock the blood when you're pouring it in. And you'll see that the color is starting to change already, which is the color that we're more familiar with dinagoan. I'm gonna add more. You will get to still taste the pork. Yeah, the students were awesome enough to do that. It's gonna be grilled. We'll have rice with it because you can't have dinagoan without rice. And then there'll be some shishito on there too, so to provide some crunch. So I'm just gonna let this cook on low. The blood will help thicken the sauce. But I like my dinagoan sauce a little bit thicker. So a good trick in thickening sauces is actually using cornstarch. We don't have to make a roux. You can actually just use cornstarch. Yeah, it's really easy. You just put this with water and you make a slurry. And then you put it in here. Always put the cornstarch first in the bowl and then add your water, or else you're going to have cornstarch clumps. And clumps are the worst to get out. I like to cook efficiently, so I'm not using like tons of things. And after you make this, like I don't want to have to strain it again. Like I want to just be able to like use it. You can smell like the iron coming from the blood. And I'm letting it cook right now a little bit before I taste it. I'm gonna cook it for like 3 to 5 minutes right now. Yes. Ooh, that's a good question. I've mostly only had the Kapampangan version. Sorry, what? Yeah, it's like more of the stomach, the belly. Is there leaded in there? Uh-huh. The Ilocano version, I don't think you've had that, Amelia, haven't you? It's the it's what's it called? It's kind of like papaitan, no? Yeah. So papaitan is the goat. It's made with goat. And the stomach bile. And it adds that really kind of funky, sharp flavor. Yeah, I have. I like the soupy one, which is Ilocano. Yeah, you're right. See, I'm learning things. And it's really important. Like, I don't know, being Filipino American born too, there's so much of that experience of the Philippine culture that I didn't get to experience, obviously. And there's connections that we can make and we can constantly learn from each other. So yeah. All right. Just gonna keep stirring. All right, let's do it. Yeah. And then the flavor notes I'm looking for here obviously is more acidic, but with a balance of, you don't want it to like hurt your cheeks. You know what I mean? There's a lot of depth of flavor. The sweetness from the cane sugar is really nice. And you can see here that like the consistency is really beautiful and it hasn't separated. All right, any other questions? We're getting towards the end. Yes. That's a good question. You know, it was really devastating, I think, in the pandemic to see so many places closed, especially a lot of like small business owned restaurants. I think it points and sheds a light to a a lot of the issues that are happening in this restaurant industry and how it's being supported. You know, it was really hard to see big businesses receive a lot of the funds and then smaller businesses not have access to that. I think what's important is creating that community. So in Seattle, there's 3 Filipino restaurants that kind of coexist together. Archipelago, myself, Hood Famous, we're all young Filipinos that have some business background, but like our background is here in the kitchen. And so being able to be open and share knowledge. I think so much of the industry has been like keeping secrets or like keeping successes so that other people don't have success. But I think there needs to be a little shift in mind frame, especially when it comes to small businesses. Like if I know my fellow next door neighbor is struggling, I'm going to figure out ways to help them support. You know, we have a Filipino restaurant opening up down the street, and we're actually really excited because that means more people are going to know more about our food. And I don't see it as competition. You know, we're going to help them with their Kickstarter and we're going to help them get funded. I think that the research, especially for people that are wanting to open restaurants, that part is important. Talking to people that have open businesses, either right before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and are thriving, asking all the questions. Like, it can seem very beautiful and very like, you know, they like to make it look very like dreamlike and magical, but it's hard. And like, you know, I know that a lot of us that have been in this industry for a long time, we've seen it. Like, I've endured a lot. But I think now being open and wanting to mentor other people, what we know, I think can hopefully lead to the successes of like smaller businesses coming back again. All right. Yes. I can't hear you. Hold on. I can't hear. Yeah. Like Food and Wine, the magazine. Is it through the Philippines or? Uh-huh. Yeah, I think so.
Because usually yearly we got Food and Wine here,
Yeah.
but basically what we taste is they just Filipino food, steak, burgers.
Yeah.
Filipino, yes,
Filipino food. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important. I think it's important, especially as Filipinos, to see that they're represented too, right? So yeah, I think that's what we love to do when we do events. Like, we had the opportunity to cook at the Beard House, which was amazing, with 6 other Filipino chefs from all over the country. And like, that was amazing. You know, like Filipinos in the Beard House, and like we were loud, we were over capacity, like, but to share, you know, because like all the time, it's always the same food that you're tasting. Yeah. I hope it's starting to change. I think that, yeah. I mean, if you look at the last class of Food and Wine, Carlo Magna or La Magna from Portland was actually named one of the best food and wine chefs who's Filipino, coming from Oregon, which I think is huge. But I think what's happening too is Filipinos are finding their own voice and doing more pop-ups. They're doing more, they're taking more space to share, that they're starting to get recognized more. So that's my goal, like my hope, like that happens. Oh, okay. Okay, do you want to try it? I mean, it's kind of been a hurry. But it's yeah, anyways, this is like our kind of plan to go on. Come to Seattle and you can taste our version. Yes, in the back. Yeah, so he was asking the differences between Ilocano and Kapampangan. From my experience, and my grandfather grew up in Tarlac, so he did a lot more Ilocano cooking, but they use goat a lot. And there's a dish called papaitan, which uses the bile and the intestines. And it's a very strong, potent dish. Sometimes they use the whole head. But yeah. 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 All right. Any other questions? I hope you guys had fun today. I know that sitting in a room can be a lot, but I just wanted to say thank you for sharing this space with me, letting me share some of like our thoughts and our journey, because it's been pretty cool getting here. I'll buy a lot of work, but thanks for having me.
I want to thank Melissa for sharing as I hope you all got the feel. She shared more than just recipes or food. It was about passion, about belief in what she's doing. And I hope you will take the time to check out her TED Talk because it really says a lot about the hospitality industry and the profession. So it's well worth your time to check that out, as well as following her journey on Instagram. But thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to Chef Lawrence and all the students who supported it, and to KCC for hosting it. And I hope you're going to enjoy the food. Please, please complete your evaluation and give those to Joan or myself, because we do read all of those evaluations. So it really is important to get your feedback on today's program. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Oh, yeah, I can. Our collaborative creation.